I was raised by a very happily divorced couple from a very early age, both of my parents raised me very differently. My dad raised me Baptist and really wasn't open to fielding many of my questions regarding anything, especially religion, because he himself wasn't open to questioning it. And my mom herself was raised very religiously and had a very difficult time with it. And so decided to tell me to just learn everything I can about each side of everything and decide from there. And a big part of my decision down the line in the 5th grade to become atheist, agnostic, was because of this. My mom didn't push me one way or the other. It was just, I was questioning, and I had a worse experience learning about religion from my father, and it pushed me that direction. But as a recourse, I went full in on logic. I loved science since kindergarten and before, and that was the biggest staple thing. And in that logic, I found philosophy as well, and a big debate in philosophy was that of the existence of free will. I was, and I guess am, a big believer in just things being determined by how they are, especially physically. And I had reached the conclusion, true or false at the time, that everything was just occurring the way that it was meant to. Not because somebody or some entity had decided it, but because physically things could only occur one way. And I stuck with that. I didn't really let it influence my life in any way. It was just kind of a fact that I felt and let it be. And over the years, as I went into high school, I opened up more to the humanities. I found a great love for history and started connecting both science and the humanities a lot more. And then I had changed a lot, as one does over 8 years. But the summer before I came here, I was working on one of my projects. I had started attempting to simulate the planet a few years before. And I was having animals wander around, and I thought, how could I have these things be more interesting? And I thought, well, presumably animals have minds, and it would be, yeah, let's start from there. And I'm going to want to have people on this planet anyway. So let's create a mental model of a person and pare it down from there. And so I sat down for a few hours, wrote out a general outline of trying to avoid something too complex, just so I could sum it up easily without having to revolutionize neural networks. And I finished very happy, and I realized there was no room for choice. No matter what, given an input, it would respond somewhat. The network could change, it could respond differently the next time, but given the current state, it could never choose. And I thought that feels wrong. I was still aware of my conclusion 8 years before, but it just felt wrong. And I thought, okay, how can I add this in? Random numbers? No, I don't feel like I'm randomly choosing to do everything I'm doing. That can't be right. What is a mind? I decided it was the sum of the activity of the brain. And the way I was doing that was the way I was summing it was summing each connection and trying to get some sort of emotion. It was and is very basic, but no matter what, I couldn't add something in there that allowed, I couldn't add something that let it have choice. And I couldn't add something to me that made me feel like I had free will. And I thought about what that would imply for me. And would it mean that every one of my choices meant nothing, that it was just going to happen anyway? Logically, yes, but emotionally, it made me feel that each of my failures would be my fault. Each of my successes would have happened anyway without me trying. But I decided while logic matters, that's not all that matters. The actual way that you implement that matters. And for me, that meant your actions aren't decided by the laws. They just kind of, they follow them. Well, logically it makes no difference. Emotionally it does. Each action is you discovering how you will act in a situation and not acting out how you must. Each action for me is a discovery, and discovery is what keeps me engaged and makes me love everything. Logically, it's not different, but it feels different, and that's what matters to me.
Woo!